So we have a new opening of Little Witch Academia, and I gotta say, I like what I heard and saw with the new opening, and also the ending as well is pretty nice. So, the new opening song, there is a very key visual in the opening I want to kind of point out, which really stood out to me after, watching that opening again after seeing the latest episode, episode 14 of Little Witch Academia. So let's kind of point it out. There is a quick segment in the opening song where you see Akko and Diana, they're walking and then they pass each other, and as they're passing each other in the opening, you see Diana and Akko change into Chariot, and then the new Sensei, which I think is called Croa? I'm just gonna call her Crow, okay? I'm just gonna call her Crow for short, it's easier on me. But anyways, the new Sensei that was introduced, and Chariot, they actually swap places with Diana and Akko. So when Akko and Diana were they're walking in the opening song, all of a sudden you had to where Chariot and Crow popped up in their place. And I'm like, wait a minute. Does that mean that Diana and Akko are in a very similar relationship as these two characters, Chariot and Crow? Because that might be potential foreshadowing there, that maybe Diana might become like Crow or join her side or something like that because of the way the opening visuals were done. Now, there is something I do want to point out when it comes to this new Sensei Crow that was introduced in this episode. Besides the obvious ending that just, makes us think she's evil, there's other key little signs throughout this episode that really demonstrate that she could possibly be related to the in-game boss of the series. So, number one, let's backtrack to the first episode of Little Witch Academia. There is an attack on Chariot and the entire crowd, and Chariot manages to handle it, and it looks like it's kind of a part of the performance the way it ends. We now know, thanks to the way that entire situation looked, most likely that is related to Crow. Crow intervened into Chariot's, entire party, her performance, and that's what messed it all up, which we can kind of assume might be the reason why Chariot went into hiding in the first place, why the shiny rod was probably, hidden in the first place, and also the entire situation why, Chariot was just really shocked to see Crow there in the first place. Now, one of the others going on. Either Chariot and Crow are working together on something, or Crow is trying to do stuff to Chariot, try to get the shiny rod or whatever, and maybe that's why the shiny rod was hidden. Besides that, too, that obvious thing, we also have the aspect of the flashback we got a couple episodes back. You remember when we saw the villain and a bunch of flashes of demons and all sorts of stuff like that, and it kind of showed us a lot of potential foreshadowing for the future, like the in-game villain? Well, if you think about it, in this exact same episode, we see a creature very similar to what we saw in the flashbacks. In the flashbacks we saw a couple episodes back, we had these little cubes, these reddish looking cubes in the flashback that made this monster. And if you look in this episode, we see the exact same thing. We see this modern magic cubes making different, forms of magic or creatures or whatever, and that's what we saw Crow doing in this episode. So obviously there is a connection with Crow and the in-game boss, or they're the same person, one or the other is going on. So that's another hint there. But also, we need to kind of wonder what is really the in-game plan here. What is Crow really trying to do? That is kind of my question after this latest episode. Now, don't get me wrong. Even though Crow is evil, and most likely evil, or either doing something that looks like it's evil, but she's actually doing things for the right reason. Regardless, though, the modern magic aspect, from everything I could see from the way it was introduced in this episode, it seems like that is actually helpful. It is. It's very helpful, and honestly, I'm on Crow's side on that. I actually completely agree with Crow trying to use that to help out the magic world, because right now, magic is dying, magic is disappearing, you have it to where, less witches are popping up, all that. We found out all of these issues in recent episodes, like the entire first half of Little Witch Academia was for that, just pointing that out. And so, with Crow introducing this modern magic, it's like a way to help out. Honestly, I'm on her side. It's a really good thing to do. And I mean, anything that can honestly help out the world, I'm on that side. Most likely, if there isn't any negative repercussions, I could see this actually really being helpful and helping out overall, but probably not being a long-term thing. However, though, I do say that the argument in this episode with the modern magic, I was on the modern magic side the entire time, because honestly, it pissed me off. It really pissed me off seeing how some of the, old witches, they were against modern magic. I'm like, okay, I know you're set in your tradition, I know you're set in your ways, like your old ways in all of this, you don't want to change things, and you're very skeptical on this modern magic, which I understand that, fine. However, when you see all of these positives that is actually helping out, why wouldn't you do that? Why would you not shift over to modern magic? I mean, let's look at the examples here, okay? It's very apparent and obvious to all of these witches that magic is dying. Magic is running out, and you have to where less witches are popping up. They have to rely on the Sorcerer's Stone, and then we saw the situation with the fairies and stuff in this episode, which caused a large amount of conflict and drama throughout this episode. So, with all of this, it doesn't make sense to me why you would fight against modern magic. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like those people that are like, oh, hey, guess what? Let's not, try to improve upon our system, make good choices. Let's continue doing the exact same thing we've been doing for the past couple thousand years, and obviously is not working anymore. But let's continue to do it, and I mean, maybe it might work eventually if we continue doing the exact same thing, but, even though you're correct, you have all this information that, can make the world better, let's just say, fuck you, and let's continue doing the exact same thing we've been doing, and just let, the magic world go to shit. I mean, that shit bugs me. That really bugs me when I see stuff like that, and I'm just glad they made the shift over to that, even if it's probably going to turn out to be somewhat bad in the future. Anyways, though, let's talk about Akko's character for a second, and what she did in this episode. So, Akko, she joined the strike force, which I was like, yo, like, it makes sense when you look at Akko's character and what she has done. Her joining the strike and all that, helping out the workers, it fits with her. It fits with the character. And at first, I'm like, Akko, oh my god, you're so dumb, like, the way you're acting. But then, I realized, wait a minute, Akko, the way she was talking about the situation, she expressed how she felt, I'm like, damn, that actually makes a lot of sense. I'm on Akko's side, because the way she was convinced and the way she said why she was convinced and realized the problem here, I'm like, I'm actually on her side. I understand now why she's like this, and also why the fairies want the Sorcerer's Stone, or more power from it in the first place, because it's really bad. If they continue to do this, it's just more problems on them. So, I do respect that, and I like Akko more for standing up for them, and it made a lot of sense when she did. But then, going even further though, let's also talk about Diana. So Diana, she was shown to have a different emotion in this episode, which is very rare. She was flustered. And I was like, yo, like, Diana is flustered, embarrassed, and all that. And I'm like, this is definitely a different type of emotion we haven't seen from her. It's rare. And Akko did this because, Akko is pretty much saying you're an aristocrat and all that. You're constantly being better than everybody else. You think you're better than everyone else. And that got Diana very flustered, which she ran off. She's like, I need to change my opinion of you. I thought I was going to, gain good expectations from you and all that from what you did in last week's episode. But thanks to this, I got to change my opinion. And I'm like, damn, like, Akko, like, you're going in on Diana. And I kind of feel bad for her. But at the same time, though, I wonder how Diana's going to change from this aspect. That's definitely going to affect her. Because clearly, she kind of respects Akko, but after Akko doing that, I wonder what's going to change. How is she going to start treating Akko after this episode? Because there's definitely going to be a shift. Now, another thing I want to dive into, it'll definitely be Crow Sensei, and the overall part of how Crow initiated modern magic. Now, I've already complimented modern magic, and how that's actually kind of helpful. I am on that side. Even though it's probably going to turn out to be bad, I'm on that side for now. However, the way that Crow Sensei managed to get modern magic approved, that was kind of distasteful. It really was. Trying to cause the entire problems with the strike and kind of manipulate it where it gets a lot worse, and then save Akko and all that, and then make it to where modern magic is allowed in the school, it was a little bit fucked up, because Crow Sensei almost killed this little fire fairy and all that, and I'm like, yo, what the hell? Like, that's messed up, but everything did turn out to be okay in the end, but it just seems like Crow Sensei is not the best type of person. Definitely is willing to do some scummy shit to get something done. So, yeah, obvious villain is obvious. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I mean, how do you feel about this week's episode of Little Witch Academia? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Please be honest in the comments below, and I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.